What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday to you. We are almost done with this week. I'm on a little bit later. I was having a conflict of the cameras, but I think we can pull this off. I think we can pull this off. So, anyways, I hope that you guys are enjoying your day. My birthday was yesterday, so yeah, another year old, another year wiser. I don't trip about getting older these days just because, again, if you are growing intellectually, emotionally, logically as you get older, then you shouldn't be afraid of getting older. I got a few more gray hairs in my head, and I'm at the point where I don't want to rinse them out. I don't want to wash them out. I feel like gray hair means wisdom in many degrees, even though there are some unwise people running around with gray hair. I do think it's just a sign of getting older. And if you are getting wiser, then you embrace your gray hairs. But, anyways, lots of crazy stuff going on in the world today, and especially if you live in America. Especially if you live in America, lots of interesting things going on in this country, right? We got some mass deportations happening. You got all these feelings and opinions flying around on the internet. Some people are very emotional. Some people are very cold hearted. Some people are trolling. I don't like internet trolls. I think of a troll as a demon. So I always think of these people as being very evil spirited individuals, just making situations worse. I think another name for trolls can even be bots and AI simulated type of people whose job really is to cause division and fervor and all kinds of other things. But since the election, I've noticed that, people from both sides of the political spectrum, they're out there, they're trying to stay the course on their political relevance. And, one of the trends I see on the Democratic side is the FIFO, or what is it, fuck around and find out little thing. They're upset, right? Kamala Harris lost, right? So now they want to go on the internet and they are fishing for people who are regretful of their decision to vote for Donald Trump. And anytime that they can find these people, obviously this just adds to their catalog of FAFO, right? So there is a lady from Florida who has gone viral. And supposedly her and her husband own a construction company. And apparently they were Trump supporters. And she regrets being a Trump supporter. What you talking about, lady? Florida voter regrets voting for Trump. Now, mind you, I have to put out a disclaimer that, obviously I see how the social media space works. I see how these people can be paid to post stuff, right? We saw that a lot during the election. A lot of these bloggers could be paid to just spit all kinds of ridiculous stuff that they didn't believe in themselves. So I am going to say that this could be a real legit Florida businesswoman, right? Or this could be one of those Democratic operatives pretending to be a Trump supporter who is in regret. Now, mind you, Trump was inaugurated January 20th. The guy hasn't even been in office for a whole month, and yet people are just panicking all over the place. It's like, I mean, but again, some of the things that he was doing could raise panic for some people if you care about those issues. But anyways, let's listen to this lady.
For Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business, but we're finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes at this point.
Now, I don't know how this Florida woman who thought that voting for Trump, who actually did run on a platform that he was going to be deporting and detaining illegals, he was going to get a handle on the migrant influx. It's not like Trump did not run on these issues. Matter of fact, You let the Trump White House press secretary tell it, and Trump feels that this was a mandate from the American people to get a hold of the migrant immigration, illegal immigration influx, right? So for this woman to get on the mic, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and talk about she regrets voting for Donald Trump. And why, and let's go.
Yeah, we voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business.
I don't know why you thought
But we're
that.
finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes.
Now, she thought that voting for Trump would be good for her business. She doesn't explain how it would be good for her business. But one thing we know for sure is that her particular, quote, American based business is not hiring Americans. They are not putting Americans to work at all. Who are you putting to work?
This point. My husband and me own a construction company, and we literally do not have workers anymore. Most of our workers are from Mexico, and they're good, hard workers. I talked to a few of them, and they said they were just too scared to come back to work because of all the raids. Our construction company is likely to go out of business now, and we don't know what we're going to do, but we're never voting for a Republican again.
Bob Cox, I see you said she's a fraud. I believe she is either a fraud or she's trying to put her failing business shit on the Trump administration. I mean, Trump just got into office. These executive orders just came down the pipeline. How the hell is your business just failing this quickly because your immigrant workers are not going to work for the last couple of weeks? To me, it seems like you've had a failing operation to begin with, and now you have an excuse why your business failed so that you can get sympathy from folks, right? I don't know, but this is kind of weird to me how this woman who has a business that is comprised of mostly illegal or I don't even know if they got to be illegal because they're afraid. They don't want to come to work, right? And I don't understand how she would believe that Trump would be in favor of her business or make her business better if it was comprised of illegals. Like, I don't understand that at all.
Ron DeSantis and Trump have been passing laws that negatively affect our business, and
Because they can't leverage the illegal immigrants for cheap labor. Basically, is what I hear this lady saying. I could be wrong.
I just want to say that I'm sorry for voting for it.
So you're sorry, not necessarily.
So this woman is saying that she is sorry. So this obviously this woman, she has a whole catalog of the FIFO from the Democrats. What you
I took off her insurance. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case they start kissing.
So they're just using all kinds of sound bites to narrate Trump. You know, at the end of the day, absolutely, Roosevelt. This woman is trying to get her 30 seconds of fame. I think her business was already failing, right? Your business ain't going to fail in 3 weeks because your migrants are afraid of ICE raids. When did they start popping these off? Like a couple of weeks ago, and your business is already failing? Nah, honey. I don't think she should be putting that on an ICE raid. I think should be putting that on poor business management. But that's just me. That is just me. But she's gone viral for her regret of voting for Donald Trump. The Democrats are having a field day with her sound bites because obviously this is a great addition to their fuck around and find out. And boy, are they on a rampage with this FAFO thing too. They're going for the Mexicans. They're going for the Muslims, right? All of the Muslims. I saw this one lady, one dude, he shows a soundbite of this Muslim American woman who said, if you vote for Kamala Harris, my community is not going to support you. Why? Because they perceive that under the Biden administration, that the Biden administration allowed for the insurgency of the Gaza Strip, that they allowed for damn near what many people believe to be a genocide or at least a ethnic cleansing at the least, right? They believe that, and they believe that the Biden Harris administration enabled that. Now, I'm not sure what Muslims were feeling like they were going to get out of Trump, because Trump said he wanted to end that situation, but he never said how he wanted to end it. He never said how he wanted to end it. And now that he's elected, he is telling people how he wants to end it. He wants to essentially displace the Palestinian people from that region so that Israel can do their little settlements without any issues or anything like that. And they want to be able to rebuild that space because it is prime real estate. If you're going to grab a land, the Gaza Strip is definitely the land to grab, right? I personally would not be vacationing there once they fix it up, right? I'll let the elitist people who believe in killing people and displacing them from their lands enjoy the spoils of their labor, right? But that's pretty much what's going to happen. And you know, it's so interesting as I'm reflecting on this Israel Palestine conflict. You know, I feel like sometimes history tends to repeat itself on so many different levels. And I was just, I was reading not too long ago, like last week, about Josephus, obviously the quote Jewish historian, but he was really Roman, um, a Herodian Roman at that. But he was talking about the battle between Rome and Jerusalem, right? And it was interesting because, the first thing they did, Rome was like, okay, we don't really want to deal with fighting these people. So what we're gonna do is basically shut them off from the world. So they started building walls, and they stopped, transit, ports and stuff for being able to get anything in or out of the city of Jerusalem, right? And obviously that was kind of like their stand down. Where it was like starve them to death. Basically, that was what Rome intended to do with the Jews and the Hebrews that were in that area, right? Starve them to death. Build all kinds of walls where they couldn't get in or out of the city, right? And then eventually, right? What is it? Titus, right? He's just like, this is enough, right? And at the orders of his father, I believe it was Vespasian, was Titus's father, right? He tells him just take them out, kill them all, displace them, do whatever you need to do. I want this revolt, which was happening under the Roman control of Jerusalem. It was an ongoing revolt. And the Romans were tired of it. They're just like, you know, I don't care what you do to those people, but we're going to stop this right now, right? And so eventually the Romans came and they subdued that region, right? And it just kind of reminds me of that, right? Where Trump is coming in and he's saying we're going to the U.S. is going to take over Gaza, right? It just kind of rings history repeating itself to me. You know what I mean? I think he even had some rhetoric about talking about taking Mexico. I mean, it seems as though, I don't know if he's joking, serious, trolling, I don't know, but seems like Trump has imperializing on his brain. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I don't agree that Trump should be allowing Elon to talk about the U.S. positions on what is happening in South Africa. That is a situation where we should just be minding our own damn business, right? But here we go, policing the world, aka imperializing people, punking people into doing what we want them to do, right? Elon has a huge bias to anything political going on in South Africa. And so therefore, anybody logical in the Trump administration would take anything that he says with a grain of salt at best if you're smart. And that's just me, right? I don't think that people should just be running and at things that Elon says, all right? Especially the same people who would use his little so-called condition, right, when he's doing little Nazi signs. All right, you guys got to pick a struggle. For me, pick a struggle. Don't be defending that, right, and then enabling some other bullshit. You said, damn, they really have you in the dark. Haven't caught a live in a minute. YouTube playing with those notifications, though. Man, I'm telling you, YouTube ain't shit. This platform is not shit. They want all the demonized stuff, all the stuff to make your emotions go crazy and stuff. Excuse me. But just talking about Trump flexing on Gaza, I look at this as all like mockery of the scriptures on so many different levels. People who follow this blog, you guys know what I mean, right? You guys know what I mean. And I do believe that, Trump is going to be a part of this ushering, right? Of global faith, right? And we'll just see what happens. Like I said, I think you played the Constantine card on a lot of folks, and we shall see. Doge has definitely got people pissed off. It got people a little shaken up, right? Because there's funding being cut in certain programs that quite frankly we really just didn't need. You know what I mean? It's insane. But I think that as much as Trump is coming out swinging, I don't think he's very calculated. He's just really coming out swinging. And I think there are certain things that he wants to do. It really should be like a progression of things, right? Even with these tariffs, like I do believe that tariffs have their place. I'm not against tariffs at all. I think they need to be executed well. I think that here's the thing. I thought that Trump was actually going to understand how to leverage tariffs in a strategic yet diplomatic way. But automatically, he is weaponizing them, which is a way to utilize them. But that type of way leads to trade wars, right? Flexing on people, trying to get them to do something for you, and leveraging tariffs. I don't necessarily believe that that's the best way to use them. And I think long term, you're going to hurt a lot of relationships that way. And so I don't think that his usage of tariffs, even though it's smart in many degrees, I also think that the execution is very poor. And he needs to dial back a lot of his rhetoric and how he's leveraging tariffs, because I think that this is just causing a lot of chaos. And people don't know how to receive this. When you start just going wild, wild west, coming out blazing, didn't nobody ask you to come out blazing on anything but the immigration issue. And that's just word 100. Everything else you need to calculate long term how these plans and these ideas are going to pan out. Not the short term, the long term. And that's just my thinking on things. What's going on 7:30? I see you. But that, it's crazy to me, a lot of stuff that's going on and a lot of things that people are saying. More information is coming out about that American Airlines flight 5342. 67 people died. Now you got people, you got more people telling their stories. And everything about that particular incident, like I said, it screams kamikaze to me. There's something about that situation, and even just one of the persons that are involved with that situation on the military side, it gives kamikaze to me. That looked like a kamikaze mission. And I'm not going to say that it was political, even though many of these things that go down like that tend to have an inch of political, or maybe there was some other purpose there. I do know that they mentioned that there was a skate camp of girls on that plane, right? So quite a few young children. So we're praying for those families. We are praying for those families. because there was a camp full of young ladies who were at a ice skating camp or whatnot, returning home, I believe, and just there are families that are devastated by this, and I do believe that they deserve answers. I do believe they deserve answers. How did this happen? I mean, and just going through just some of the videos of people who claim to be subject matter experts in those areas, you're talking about all the technology that these Black Hawks have, and yet this happened. And that's why I said, I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, but I always feel like nothing happens for, everything happens for a reason. And this just really gave kamikaze to me. This really gave kamikaze on so many different levels. And there could be multiple purposes why, if it were a kamikaze mission, why something like this would need to be executed. But I think the families definitely deserve answers, because you think about it, if this with that figure skating trip, you're thinking about how many, if let's just say all the moms with, let's say it's a group of 15 girls, right? Let's say moms went with them on those figure skating, dad stayed home with the other kids, right? That is so sad. That is devastating. That is so devastating. So I pray for those families that were impacted. I'm not sure what the status of the three. So I think they recovered the three soldiers that were on the Black Hawk. So we will wait and see. But I do think that it's very interesting that one of those soldiers was a aide to Biden. Like I said, she was a White House social media aide at that, and she just recently was standing next to Ralph Lauren as Joe Biden presented him with the Medal of Honor. And I'm wondering, what did Ralph Lauren get the Medal of Honor for? What did he do that was so honorable? Make some jeans? Weird. They just giving those Medal of Honors out like Halloween candy. It don't even seem like it has any significance. It's like the Nobel Peace Prize. When you start giving bullshit Nobel Peace Prizes away, this is how I know that, those little accolades don't really mean shit at the end of the day. But let's see, she was under experience and decided to do what she wanted over what she was told to do. So I guess, what are you saying? She was a rogue pilot? What do you mean she decided to do what she wanted to do? I mean, it looked like she had a machine of people enabling her. And I thought it was interesting because people were talking about her military experience. She wasn't really enlisted that long, and yet she had a $520,000 home. How many military personnel just new in the business like that have that type of home starting off in their 20s? You got people in their 20s, or like in that age group, they're trying to find an apartment, let alone a 520K house, and she could afford that. So it all screams op to me. It screams just weirdness, and it screams kamikaze to me. It screams kamikaze to me. But what else is on my radar? I talked about Elon and he's upset with South Africa, because South Africa, obviously, people are looking at what they're doing as possibly racist, because I guess they are now settling the question about land rights, right? Post apartheid. And Elon is not happy with the conversations that they are having in their country. Isn't he American now? Or is he like a dual citizen? I don't know. I don't be digging into Elon Musk like that. But anyways, Trump, he salutes Israel. And what did you say about Gaza, Trump? And Netanyahu, like, it's so funny watching Netanyahu look at Trump as if he's looking at a puppet saying exactly what he wants him to say. Trump is looking serious, trying to make sure he's reading every word the right way with the right seriousness. And Netanyahu's just, yes, puppet. He's doing a great job. Yes, my Trumpy
So
puppet.
bad for the people anywhere near it. I also strongly believe that the Gaza Strip, which has been a symbol of death and destruction for so many decades, and so bad for the
Well,
people.
it wasn't always a symbol of death and destruction. I mean, it wasn't always that way. I mean, I think you got the Slavic and the German descent people who kind of just infiltrated that area in 1948. They kind of made it a symbol of death and destruction. Before, people were living there peacefully, minding their own business.
The people anywhere near it, and especially those who live there, and frankly, who's been really very unlucky. It's been very unlucky. It's been an unlucky place for a long time.
Well, why has it been unlucky? Why has Gaza, Palestine, why has it been unlucky? Well, obviously, it doesn't have like strong global partners like Israel do in the United States. So I guess one could see that as unlucky because you're not really a side chick of the nation of Satan. So it's like that could be perceived as unlucky, right? But I mean, who made them unlucky is the question. Who made that region of Semitic people? Let's not ever forget that Palestinians are Semitic people. Matter of fact, they're probably more Semitic than the individuals that claim they are Jews in Israel. But we will digress from that.
Being in its presence just has not been good, and it should not go through a process of rebuilding
And he's
and
like reading something
occupation
too. He's like, it's just been not been good. I'm like, are you literally reading?
by
Somebody
the
actually
same
put
people
not been
that have
good.
really stood there and fought for it and lived there and died there and lived a miserable existence there. Instead, we should go to other countries of interest with humanitarian hearts, and there are many of them that want to do this, and build various domains that will ultimately be occupied by the 1.8 million Palestinians living in Gaza, ending the death and destruction and frankly bad.
So basically, Trump is saying, okay, enough is enough. We're tired of the war in this region. Peace in the Middle East means getting all the Gazans the fuck out of here, right? And resettling their lands with the people that they call Jews in that land. So I think that's pretty much Trump's resolve. We're going to get rid of these 1.7 million people. It was 2 million people months ago, but I guess they killed some more of them. And so now, right, they are at basically the precipice of this type of conflict where they're basically repeating history, right? The Romans told the ancient Israelites, you can't go home. You cannot stay here. We won't kill y'all asses, but y'all got to go, right? Y'all getting off this land. This is our land now, right? And that's what pretty much desolated Jerusalem for that second time. You know, that is what desolated Jerusalem the second time. The Romans gave them the business, and the Jews scattered about. Some of them went to Europe, right? Some of them went to Africa, Libya, those types of areas. That's where they went when they got scattered, right? Um, and then you have these people, you know, the Slavic descent people, the German descent people who say that they are Jews, sons of Japheth, the people that the Bible are not about. Um, you know, they're in that land saying they're Jews and basically imperializing all the other places. And a mockery of the scriptures nonetheless. But the God of Abraham will deal with them. Y'all shouldn't be out here lying and mocking the scriptures because it's a repeat. It's a repeat. That is why Russia is such a threat to a lot of these people because they know that they have been mocking the scriptures, and they know if you want to recreate history with your own rendition of it, right? You're going to still get the same outcome. So I do believe that one day Russia and Turkey is going to be giving the Middle East the business really badly. And there's not going to be anything the United States are going to be able to do about it because the economy in this nation is going to be so effed up, right? That all they can do is sit by as cheerleaders. I personally believe that, but that's just me. Let's just see how these mockeries of the scriptures continue on. And now that you have Trump in office, right, enabling the mockery of the scriptures. And obviously, you got the Christian Zionists and the Jewish Zionists. They're enabling this too because they believe they can rush the second coming by doing some old bullshit, right? He's listening to those types of folks, right? I cannot wait until Armageddon come and set those people on fire. It's gonna be glorious. I really do tell you, it's gonna be glorious. But anyways, you guys, Trump, what do you think about this? Muslims are not very upset about this. They're very upset about this, especially the ones that voted for Donald Trump. They thought that Donald Trump was going to come in and do better when it came to the Israel Gaza conflict than the Democrats, who were just sitting on it like, hey, we gonna do a little protest here and there, but we can't really do shit but keep giving them money to eradicate those people, right? Um, and they thought that Trump would stop that, right? I think that the Muslims were counting on Trump to do something to stop this, but what they didn't realize is that Trump was like, "We gonna just imperialize the Gaza Strip. Yeah, we gonna displace all those people. We gonna send them off to just all the little different lands for humanitarian reasons, right? We're getting them. We're gonna and then Israel will have their quote home, right? They'll have their home in peace, right? Along with Syria and all those other nations, Lebanon, right? They'll have that too, and that's pretty much what it is. So interesting world we live in today, y'all, right? The demons are ever so busy, right? What else is on my radar? I'm probably gonna, if you are, catch me tomorrow. Yeah, catch me tomorrow. I might do the live stream maybe around 7 o'clock. We're gonna do our Sabbath talk, right? And I want to talk about the Romans a little bit more. I've been talking about the Romans quite a bit. I want to talk about them some more and what perplexed them about the individuals in Jerusalem, right? And one of the things that I mentioned this in one of my other live streams is that the Romans, they were contradictory people. They were very hypocritical because they were kind of like America, where they believed in religious freedoms, but unlike America, right? Rome was like, you can freely worship whatever you want to, but you have to show fealty to the imperial gods and emperors of Rome, which was a conflict to a lot of people's religions, right? Who are taught that it is a sin, that it is unholy to bow to graven images of men, and also to bow to fleshly men on earth who are going to die. And what was perplexing about the Romans is that the Hebrews, or the Jews, right, they didn't really have a personification of their God, right? All the Romans, they had, the sun gods and stuff. They're like, we can see our gods. How you gonna worship an invisible God? Like, come on now, show me Yahweh, show me your Hebrew God. But by then, under Roman rule, it's notable that, again, you had Hebrews and you had Jews. You had people practicing Judaism, and then you had people who were practicing the pure Abrahamic faith, which unfortunately during Roman rule was not really that many. Unfortunately, Jerusalem was very unholy when the Romans destroyed it, anyways. But, anyways, I think it was very interesting that, the Romans really antagonized the Jews and the Hebrews in that region when they were imperializing them. They would do real shitty stuff like, oh, we believe in religious freedom, but we'll put this God right in front of your temple to disrespect your God, right? The Romans was on that shit, right? So they antagonized the Jews, right? They did little slick shit to inspire the Jews to want to revolt against their rulership because they were being blatantly disrespectful. That is what the Romans were doing to those Jews and those Hebrews in Jerusalem back during Roman occupation, right? So it wasn't enough that they were antagonizing or they were occupying these people. They were doing little shitty, slick things to antagonize the people, right? Disrespectful, obviously blatant disrespectful stuff to the point where these people revolted against them. And the Jews and the Hebrews in Jerusalem at that time, it wasn't like they were a bunch of punks, you know what I mean? They were ready to defend their land from the Romans. I mean, one would argue that maybe they were kind of kamikaze, some of those sects of Jews, right? Especially the Pharisaic ones, right? The Zionist ones. And you see, actually, the birth of Zionism actually came under the Roman siege. But that is just to say that I think that history has a funny way of repeating itself because a lot of people will argue that it was, the Israelis antagonized these Palestinian people to death. They did little slick things where it's not the fact that you are occupying our land, you have infiltrated our land, right? But you're also antagonizing us, right? And so when we talk about October 7th, right, you're talking about people who are antagonizing. And mainly somebody who is a group that is stronger than the other, well, way more connected than the other, and they're over there antagonizing these people, and these people like fuck it to the death, right? And I'm not saying that that's the right mentality, but look at what these people doing. None of them got the right mentality. None of these people have the right mentality, right? One of them has a hyper imperialistic mindset, and the other one has a self preservation to the death, I will die on my land mindset. There's no reconciling that. They know there's no reconciling that. So now they're just moving to extermination or forced displacement. And that's what's ultimately going to happen to the people in Gaza. So we pray for those people continuously. I don't want to call all of those people terrorists, right? I don't even know if I actually call their military forces that, which is none, right? Gaza doesn't have a military, so I don't know what the fuck Israel has been really fighting these months, but they don't got no damn military, so they've been fighting these so-called rebels or terrorists, right, who are supposedly fighting in the name of these people who are getting bombed into submission anyway. So it's a messed up situation. I pray for everyone who is in war torn or imperialized nations dealing with land displacement and land grabs, with all these little creative disasters and stuff. I pray for everybody, but again, God's kingdom will come on earth as it is in heaven very, very soon. We can see the writing on the wall with how these nations are playing out. And, if you're a believer, you keep your faith up. If you're not a believer, then just watch the chaos and be mentally ill about it. But we're not mentally ill about this shit because we already know there's nothing new under the sun, right? So if you follow this content, there's nothing new under the sun. But anyways, you guys, I will check you out. I'll try to do a quick live stream tomorrow. right? Just going over some biblical stuff and how it relates to this crazy dying world that we're living in today. And until then, you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Keep your prayers up if you're a believer. Bye.